Hello and welcome to Now It's My Turn. I'm your host, Lana McAra, and today I am excited about our call with my good friend, my wonderful friend, and my personal healer. She works for me and helps me, Rebecca Cohen. Welcome, Rebecca.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
I
I'm
was just
delighted.
remembering that I was on a few minutes on one of your first shows, and that was over a year ago, and now I get to be on again. It's so great.
I know. I actually had forgotten. It was November 11th, 2019. I remember that date, but the fact that you were there and we were together and now we're together again. Spirit just told me that I needed to contact you to come back.
I'm so
I just,
happy.
Rebecca Cohen is the founder of the healing modality, the Path to Heal. The Path to Heal is a remarkable system that utilizes specific protocols and muscle testing to quickly uncover the psycho-spiritual root of health conditions, and then utilizes angelic healing in the form of crystals, sound therapy, and sacred essences to restore the body to health and our lives to abundant joy. Rebecca is the author of 25 books available on Amazon.com. and has created 11 oracle decks and 2 tarot card decks infused with angelic healing energy. Rebecca instructs the Path to Heal practitioners and teaches workshops on path self-health techniques. She has a private practice in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And prior to developing the path, Rebecca studied Bodytalk and Reiki. She received her MBA from UCLA and her BA in psychology from Barnard College, and was marketing director at JP Morgan Chase. This is a past life. And her website is thepathtoheal.com. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you so much.
The one thing I love, that I absolutely adore about your process, is it's systematic. And when someone like me, who has worked with many practitioners over many years, I always felt like there were some gaps and I couldn't isolate them. I didn't know where they were. I didn't know what, but when I came to you and I saw the way, and you call it a path.
Well, it looks like a path.
It looks like a path. And when you take someone on that journey, you can go down the path and find out where are the pockets that you're missing, where are you stuck that you may not be able to see. And I think that is just the brilliance of this work. So I just want to tell everyone it's amazing. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It feels amazing when I'm doing it. So I'm glad that it feels amazing to a client who receives it as well.
Yes. Whenever I get stuck and I don't have any idea what the heck's going on, that I call you because you can help me get out of it.
So I also have trained, well, I've probably trained more than this, but there are 10 students of mine that are full-fledged Path to Heal practitioners. And so I've created a small group now, but it's going to grow to a love army one of these days. And it was created to be shared because It is so systematic. It might take a while to learn it, but it is created in a way to be taught.
Yes, absolutely. And so effective and gentle, so gentle as well.
And loving.
And loving, right. So you started out, we're talking marketing director, JP Morgan Chase, and all of this business background that you have. And I'm always fascinated to find out what took you from that world over here into this world, which is so different.
Well, first of all, I was an analyst and a director of analysts. And so I've always had an analytic brain, and that brain hasn't disappeared. I'm just, I was in credit card marketing and I was getting people into debt, and that wasn't very loving. So it's as if the angels got together and said, let's figure out a better way for her to use her analytic brain. Let's take her somewhere else. And, I had this trifecta of difficult things that happened to me between 2007 and 2009, in a very abrupt way. My husband left me. Right now we get along great and the kids go back and forth and they're grown up anyway, but it was shocking at the time. I'd been very sick with Lyme's disease. And during the banking crisis in 2009, my JP Morgan went from loving me to saying, bye-bye, gave me severance. Thank you. You're out of here. And at first I fought it. I was like, I have these kids to support. I'm not well. I have so much going on in my life. And then I woke up one morning and was like, no, this is such a big sign. And if you resist the sign, things are going to get worse. And at the same time, I had studied another modality called Bodytalk. And Bodytalk was a very fascinating modality. Within that, I learned to muscle test. And I learned that you could create a very systematic protocol to get you and using muscle testing to read the client's energy to get you to understand what's blocking somebody. So I loved Bodytalk. I was like one of these type A, get to the top, become the most advanced practitioner that you could possibly become within 2 years. And I ran. And like my system, Bodytalk had a protocol. And on the protocol, there was a box that said other modalities. And we were muscle testing. And muscle testing, for those who haven't seen it, is asking your body questions and testing muscle strength to get an answer. So for example, this is one way to do it. You ask a question, and if your finger pulls through, that's a yes. And if your finger stops, that's a no. I get a lot of insight this way. So I kept on asking things like, am I supposed to send them to a doctor? And I would get a no. Or am I supposed to do Reiki on them? And I would get a no. And then I finally asked, about a month into this, having studied, being kind of brought off their path, am I supposed to create my own system? And it's as if I felt the angels standing up, giving me a standing ovation, saying, you finally asked the right question. And I did. And there was something else that I created in between. For 1 year, it was like my practice run, but I got a feeling for how this whole thing was going to go. And I was working with another person, and we decided to go our separate ways. And then, boom, as soon as I closed that door, I got the basic premise of the system. The next morning, I woke up with it. And the basic premise of the system is be enthusiastically yourself at all times, and then all good things come to you.
Wow.
And when you're in that state of taking care of yourself enthusiastically, and you feel that abundance coming in, then it's very easy to unconditionally give and receive love. So everything that I do and work in this system helps one, and it feels, and we're going to show you in a little bit, but it feels like a therapy session in a sense, where I do all the work and you just have to get the ahas, because I am using all these protocols that I have developed with very strong guidance over the last 10 years to understand where you're not being enthusiastically yourself. And when we remove that fear that's keeping you small, at that point, something happens in your body and your energy, and things get unblocked. So at that very moment, you could lose your foot pain. It could just go bye-bye, because you were storing a block to keep you small. You were keeping pain to keep you small. And so ultimately, when you are enthusiastic about every bit of who you are, then there's no more pain. Now, I always wondered myself, why can't I just do this in one protocol instead of 200 protocols and a gazillion books and card decks? But we're intricate beings, and we have shades. And so by creating, and I can always get to the right shade once I create it through muscle testing what the client needs. So it's extensive. But because you can very quickly muscle test exactly where you have to go, it's very easy to navigate the system as a practitioner once you get used to it.
Wow. So, yes, that is what I absolutely love about it, is that the muscle testing brings a definitive answer, a yes or no answer. It's not guessing. It's not, like wondering. You do have to ask the right question to get a yes or no, but you've got the questions.
And then whatever question I ask if the client gets still enough, they can understand it. Sometimes it's a whole statement where they don't have to actually respond. They just have to connect to. And it's so funny. That's one of the things that some of my students struggle with a little bit, because they don't have the confidence to know that what I've actually received is from the higher self of my client, and it's exactly what they need. I am getting into their stuff, but their higher self has given me permission. So once you're confident in your delivery of this material, then it actually all goes very smoothly, and then the client always feels lighter at the end of the session, and sometimes they physically feel much better. And doors open.
Yes.
They just do, because the more you're in your truth, which is one of the things that we were talking about earlier, the more the doors open. So Lana and I had been discussing outside agendas, or being in your truth. And we were talking about different forms of this. And so when somebody is following their heart, it doesn't even have to be external guidance. It's what they have in their heart. Then the doors will always open, because our heart creates the universe. Our mind can create too, but it can create nutsy stuff. But our heart creates the loving universe. So if we get healed enough, or we just are lucky enough to be able to do this, to tune into our heart and follow the path without judgment of that path, because it's aligned to our heart, then the doors of the universe just open up. Not because the universe is some random thing out there that kind of likes you. It's because we are creating the universe.
Yes. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. I recently going to town yesterday, went in to pick up a couple things. Don't go out much lately. But my daughter and I were in the car together, and I was remarking, I know that there is a Jamaican restaurant, because we lived in the Caribbean. We love Jamaican food. I know there's a Jamaican restaurant right in this section, but I cannot see it. It's on Google Maps, and every time I go by, I just can't see it. And, we were discussing that there's some kind of an energetic disconnect, because why would you not see what you're actually looking for? We do create our reality, don't we?
And if that happens, to me, it's always a clue. Okay. And then I go and I work it and I heal it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So I have one question, and that is, you mentioned the higher self. What would you say is a person's higher self?
Well, one of the basic premises of this system that I work is that I am God. Not I am mildly connected to God, or I'm devoted to God, or I'm communicating to God, that each and every one of us is God. And which means that each and every one of us has this miraculous power to create absolutely everything that we want to make us happy. And God and the divine heart are one. So when we connect fully to the divine heart, then we have all this power of God to miraculously create the universe that we want. When we got sidetracked by shoulds and woulds and agendas, then we're totally off track. We all do that, because we all have egos too. And we want to be accepted, and we want to be part of the crowd. I think, at least my definition of the divine heart, my God self, and the higher self are one. It's the piece of me that's acting from the greater understanding of how this universe works, plus connected to my divine heart, to my God self, to get me to be true to me, so that I can manifest the universe of my dreams.
Yes, the heart connection, the divine self. Yeah. There's pure white light there. There's pure authenticity there. And it's so interesting that these solutions are so simple. It's us that complicate them, and we put layers over them, and we tell ourselves why it won't work and why we can't and all that. But the truth, the internal connection to the divine higher self is very simple, very quiet, very pure. It's easy.
It's what you want to do the most.
Yeah.
And you take away the shoulds, and the universe then can respond. It's all the complication that makes our universe so hazy.
Yes, absolutely. And I think this past year, 2020, was a year of complication upon complication upon complication. And I found my own mind just like spinning. Like I can't even think anymore. I don't even know what to think. And it isn't even having an opinion about what's happening in world events. I'm talking about just in my daily life. I felt like I was like floating and off kilter, you know, like a top spinning on the floor kind of a feeling. That's been, I've talked to a lot of people, and it seems to be that's kind of that's the common thread recently. Yeah. So we're going to do a little process today. And I am excited because I think that one piece about feeling off kilter, about all these different, you know, forces, because one of the things that I found is that when it isn't just watching the news, that's a piece of it. Okay. Watching the news and social media, everybody talks about that, you know, what's happening, who says what and all that, but there are energies around us that influence us. And I even feel like my neighborhood has an energy, and you know, that I feel that because I'm sensitive. When I go out into public somewhere, that has an energy, and I feel that. And so it's a collective thing, as well as our own, what's going on inside, but we also have these energies all around us because everything's been stirred up so much that we have a tendency to, you know, feel off base or out of our own, you know, centeredness or something like that. Wouldn't you say?
Yes. And yeah, we have a lot of information flying at us at all times, and we have a lot of opinions. I saw a meme on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, and I changed a little bit, so I'll repeat it in my changed form. It's not our opinions that heal the world, it's love.
Yes.
And so everybody's throwing in this crazy atmosphere that we're living in. Everybody's throwing out opinions, and either you like their opinion because it's on your side, or you don't like it because it's not on your side, and then you get all riled up. And with that, and if someone doesn't see it your way, you feel personally insulted that they are hurting you by seeing an aspect of either politics or COVID or whatever it is that's so big on our plate right now. And yet it's really just love. And so if someone has an opinion that you feel is completely wrong and hurtful, then if you can go and try and understand why, if someone is actually being hurtful, that they're wounded, and then you can love their idea and their opinion without needing to take it on. So I think this is a game in understanding and having compassion for anybody who is loudly working in an energy that is different than love. It's that energy is the energy of I'm not being heard, I'm not being listened to, I'm inadequate, I'm not enough. And then I find it so much easier because I can go down the rat hole of all of this stuff, or I can be, well, let me understand what their motive is. Then maybe their said motive is this. And then I realize my opinion on all this doesn't matter. Let me just try and stay in love and understand where you're coming from with love. And wow, then there's no tension anymore.
Yes.
So,
Love is the answer.
Yeah, it's always the answer.
It's always the answer.
So somehow we think our opinions are the answer. I know how to run this country better than you, Facebook non-friend anymore, boom. How would I know how to run the country better than my Facebook friend? I don't know. I'm not running it. All I can do is heal it. That I know how to do better than others.
Yes.
At least people who aren't trying. Or people who are trying to do it and not from a space of love.
Right. Right, exactly.
So I would like you to fill in this sentence so I can start my session. I create my dream of blank.
I create my, can I use more than one word?
As many as you want.
Okay. I create my dream of a peaceful life.
Okay. And what we're doing for Lana, we're doing for everybody who's watching. Even if you find this in 5 years and you start to watch and you get this far in the show, you'll get healing that you need from watching this. So this, what I'm doing with my tuning forks, opens up the portal to mystical manifestation. We're aligning us to our heart self, our God self. And I held this up briefly before, but what I do is I muscle test this, see which protocol I am going to be doing. Okay, so I'm going into my book, Sound Medicine. And I think it does. It's sometimes you can't hear when I play a recording, but in Zoom you can. I was getting my mediums mixed up in my head. So I'm going to open my book, Sound Medicine, and I'm going to do some healing with sound today. And I'm just muscle testing the table of contents of this book to see where I'm going. It's very interesting because I'm going to a protocol called Cellular Regeneration. So we're going to be regenerating something, and it's actually something physical for the world. Yes. And I'm muscle testing to see what it is. We are regenerating the world's respiratory system.
Whoa, that's interesting.
And believe me, I didn't come in having any knowledge that this is what we were going to be doing today. We talked about healing ourselves when we go off our own heart, our own agenda. But now I'm understanding that that's what makes us not be able to breathe. The more true we are to self, and that's the heart self, the more we can breathe. So I'm opening this up with this concept of, and I'm sniffing some wild orange essential oil, the quantum field of possibility. When I love and accept all of me, I enter the quantum field of possibility, wherein all joyous possibilities present themselves. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you about this tuning fork. I call it the Divine Resonance Tuner. On Amazon, you can get this for $12. It's called the 256 Body Tuner, and it's used in hearing. They test hearing with it. That's why it's so readily available. If you were, and they even give you this little ball, and you ding, and it's a body tuner because it's weighted, and so you can't hear it when I play it. But when I put it on the ear, that's why they test hearing with it. It's really loud. So I'm going to put it on using my body as a surrogate, the lungs, to open up the lungs for cellular regeneration. I'm also healing the sexual organs. I don't know the relationship yet, but I will just give myself and the world some healing. Okay. And so this is over the areas of pain in the world. And I think the sexual organs represent still the battle between men and women. And men and women's propensity not to trust each other. Like there is this, you're other, I won't trust you. That is the battle of the centuries. And somehow that's related to this, I can't breathe either. So the next thing I have to do is do some, and this is planetary healing. The tuning forks that I use in this are are connected to the planets. And I have to, looking for what I'm looking for, connect. What we're doing is we're helping our stomach vibrate with my Jupiter tuner to the sun and Jupiter. I'm just taking all the energy from the sun and Jupiter to help our stomachs heal. Now, I have no idea why I'm actually taking all the energy from the sun to Jupiter. Like, there are things in this system that are so gifted to me and so much more mystical than I can possibly imagine. But I do know that when we resonate with all the planets and all the planetary energy, it lifts our vibration. And those planets have this healing energy in that we pull in for the session. They're part of our solar system. We can't exist without all this peripheral stuff spinning around us. Mm. So it's pulling that stuff in with love. So I'm also working on a major nerve to help the respiratory system. And it's the vestibular cochlear. So it has to do with the ear and that part of your body. And I'm using my Venus tuner now. And I'll tell you a little bit about this book. So I have a book that I've created, and it's on Amazon, called Sound Medicine. And it was very channeled in. This was maybe the most channeled book. And it has lists and lists and lists of things to heal. And it tells you which tuning fork to use and how to do it. And I have on my website, thepathtoheal.com, recordings of all the tuning forks in the book. You don't have to go out and buy these tuning forks. The recordings are very high quality. I'm playing them now. Sometimes I have it right here, I'm using it. But for that Venus one, I just used the recording. And so it's really a lovely book. And it's called Sound Medicine, Planetary Healing for the New World. Okay, so we got through resonating our body system and our major nerves. And now I'm going to see if there's something emotional. That's very interesting. And what's coming up is lack of faith. So I'm going to muscle test to see if I can understand this. So we have a lack of faith in ourselves, yes. And that means we have a lack of faith. And so we want to be taken care of with love, but we don't trust anybody else to do it. So there's all this othering going on in the world right now. That starts with man versus woman, but it's political party versus political party, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. I mean, it's all over our world right now. I have an opinion, yours is different, you're other. And so nobody has faith that anyone can help you because we're othering everybody. But what Lana asked me to work on in the beginning is trusting my own point of view. And not that my point of view is better for everyone, but that it's better for me. I don't have to worry about everybody else. And if it's not loving and if it's very judgmental, then it's not a true point of view. Because if it's not from love, it's not from your higher self. It's from your ego that says, I need to win this one, you need to lose. Or I need to win this one in order to survive. So staying grounded and centered in this time is, am I being loving to myself? Am I being compassionate to others? That's it. And that's how you get to grounded and centeredness. And it may create a process, and Lana and I were talking about this too, where I have to stop doing the things in this life that I don't love.
Right.
And I can try something, that's wonderful. And I'll know within a couple weeks or a couple months if I love it or not. It doesn't take long to say, okay, with the faith that when I enthusiastically do the things that I love, that all good things will come to me. So this protocol ends with exactly what I've been talking about, which is love releases pain. What if I realize that pain disappears when I have love for every aspect of myself? I mean, there's a Rumi quote, the answer to the pain is in the pain. And so I feel, and I'm just smelling some turmeric essential oil. So when I read that, the answer to the pain is in the pain, I realized it's so similar to what I do. I see all of the things that are going wrong in my body, and I still have some, and the things that are going wrong in my world, either internally or externally, are clues to where I'm not being completely loving to myself. So then I can use these clues, and if I can't figure it out myself, I have a whole healing system which helps me say, I have this problem, this is where I'm not being loving to myself. So denying your pain, denying your fear, trying to push it out doesn't heal you. Looking at it and saying, unless you have this magic ability to do it, I don't, but maybe some people do. If I look at it and I say, why are you here? You're such a gift to me. You're telling me exactly what I need to do to heal. All I have to do is listen. So this healing system is created to help you listen. So if you can't decode it yourself, there is a way to do it. It's all about the answer to the pain is in the pain. It's in the pain. So I have a bunch of card decks, and I'm going to pick a card from my deck. So I talked about before the God self, that I see as still me, but completely resonating with my heart. And then everything is easy, everything that comes my way. And the deck is called the Divine Incarnation, because this is the incarnation where we're here right now today to connect to our God self. That's what we're doing here. And it's the gateway is easy. It's what do I love? It's not more complicated than that. So I pick the card Wisdom. I choose peace and allow myself to be all that I am and all that I can be. I have been scared that this state makes me threatened, burdened, vulnerable to criticism, and alone. But in truth, I know that this state creates absolute fulfillment and bliss. I am the wise one. And I love that I picked this card, because when Lana told me the dream at the beginning was a peaceful life, and this card's about peace, that we're afraid of peace because it makes us feel threatened, burdened, vulnerable to criticism, and alone. So when we're agitated, we feel that we're better able to protect ourselves, but that's a false belief. So the next one that I pick is Courage. I am in tune with my soul. I now know that what's right for me is right for all, because our hearts are one. Therefore, it is now easy for me to take the risk to follow my heart. I am always the courageous one. Now, this is the Courage card. Just muscle testing to see if I need to do one more thing, and I get yes. So I also have these little cards. There's only 4 of them, and I just picked the second. So it's a chain of things. You're not going to be able to read it from there. But this chain gets us to, I adore my superpowers. So each one of us has superpowers, which is the God self. And it's based on what you like. And so when you spend too much time judging, and sometimes it's hard because you've been raised in a critical environment, but if you spend too much time judging what you like, then it's harder to get to your superpowers. So I'm going to sniff some Console essential oil. It's a blend, but it's very beautiful. And then I'm going to take some rose. So if anyone who's watching has rose essential oil, rose is the opposite. It's self-love, and it releases self-hate. So I'm going to smell that. Now I'm going to use my tuning fork. And I'm going to go through this list and see where, for everyone who's watching, where we need some strengthening. So I know my talented superpowers. That was strong. So most of us have some idea who's watching what our superpowers are. Lana, are you aware of your superpowers?
I would say yes. I don't know if I could list them, but I have an inner knowing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that we're strong there. So I tenaciously embrace my talent. That's weak. So we know it, but for everyone who's watching, even 5 years from now, there's a break. And I'm going to sniff the rose oil again. And did that make it stronger? Yes. So I tenaciously embrace my talent. I attract people who benefit from my talent. That's strong. I do not fear that I will become greedy, arrogant, or selfish. That's a break. There's a fear that within our talent, we're so talented that we might become greedy, arrogant, or selfish. Can you relate to that at all?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then now that's strong. Now I remain true to myself, humble, giving, inclusive, and kind. I get that that's strong. And the last one for all of us is we are blessed. So this was about embracing our talent, attracting people who benefit from our talent, and not worry that if I am the most talented, successful person in the world, that I will become greedy or unkind. Mm-hmm. Because our talent comes from our heart, which comes from love. And so in that space, we'll just be us. We'll be abundant, but we'll just be us. Mm-hmm. So greed and unkindness doesn't generate from finding the superpowers that lodge in your heart. Mm-hmm. You can get powerful from the ego, but then you can be unkind. So if you leave those things in your life that you don't love behind, then you get powerful from the heart and not only leave things behind, but create connections in the world that you love. Then you have all this power coming from your heart. And that's the message of the session. And I will close it up.
Wow, always awesome.
Thank you.
I can see how 5 years from now it could still absolutely be wonderful for whoever will see it. Yes. Wonderful. So do you have anything to share with us, what you're doing now, any kind of program or anything that you would like to bring to our attention?
I have an online program, which you can find on my website under training, and it's learning my book, Mystical Manifestation. And it's $20 and you can do it. It's an hour and 20-minute recording of me teaching this program. So I welcome you to look for it. I'm also I have this wonderful healing session called the Wonder Healing Session, and it goes up and down the chakras and it looks for your blocks and it helps you understand them. and I can do it very quickly. It's very interesting because I was sitting, I did a lot of expos, not doing them now, but I was sitting at a lot of expos sharing my stuff. And I got this hit that this is the perfect thing to do in 15, 20 minutes, a half hour. And it's called the Wonder, and it just goes in. So if anyone's having a problem or an issue and would like some quick guidance, guided by my pendulum as I go up and down the chakras to your blocks and to why you're stuck, I offer that at a $50 introductory rate, just so that people can share this gift that I've received. And then I always teach this full system. I've been writing so many books lately. I have a new card deck called What If to expand the mind that's coming out quite soon. And the other thing that's just fun and free and easy is I have a Facebook page called Uplifting Card Readings.
Oh, that's amazing.
Are you on it?
I am absolutely on it. It's wonderful.
Thank you. And so I go in and I just do card readings for people based on my, I'll take the information out of my guide so I can get a lot of them done. But then you can play with the card decks and you can flip through them and you don't even have to buy them. So I encourage you to find that Facebook page. It's just
Uplifting Card Readings.
Uplifting Card Readings.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome. Rebecca, thank you. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.